Hey guys, today we're going to be creating the second part of the Star-Lord bubble scene. Today we're going to be creating the part where his gun actually turns into bubbles, and this is what we're going to create. Alright, you can see that there's a few things going on here. Before the gun actually turns into bubbles, it expands a bit, like it's blowing up with air. And then the bubbles spawn, gun disappears, and the bubbles just kind of flow up. So we're going to use a natural thing right in After Effects called foam, and a quick matte, and it's going to create this. Alright, so first thing you want is you're going to want some footage, obviously. And this is just you pretending to hold the gun and just have like the bubbles come up. Doesn't matter how long it is. And then the second part is just a video of you or a frame of you holding the gun. Because we're going to get a freeze frame of this gun and then track it to your hand for the first part. It's easier to remove this from your scene than if you were to record it with the gun. Alright, so I'm going to minimize that for now. The first thing I want to do is actually track my hand. But you're only going to need to track the first part, because when my hand opens up, this is when the bubble, or when the gun is already turned into bubbles. So I'm just going to track from here to there, from like the beginning to about here. Create a null. Click Alt, square bracket to trim it. Click Enter to rename it, and we're going to call this tracker null. Alright, for the beginning. I'm going to track this in Mocha. You can use the track motion and just use a point track, but there's very little contrast on my hand, so I found that if you go to animation, track in Mocha, it's just a little bit better. Okay, yes. We're going to zoom in here, get the pen tool, and just do a quick mask around my hand here. Alright, I'm going to get rid of scale, rotation, and shear because I don't need it. We're just going to track forward. Alright, you can see I just stopped the track here because I don't need any of the data afterwards. So if you go to export track data, copy to clipboard, go to the beginning of the track null and just click Control V, and as you can see, the null has now been tracked to the position of my hand for the time period. Alright, so I'm going to turn back on the gun layer, find a frame where the gun's actually pointing straight. That looks about right. Then I'm going to go time, freeze frame, with G to pull the pen tool, and then I'm just going to do a quick mask around the gun. Alright, you can see that I masked the outside of the gun, and if you have place in the gun where there is a hole in it, the trigger here, I'm just going to mask this out. Add another one. Oops. Another one here. If you click M on the keyboard, go to the second mask and click subtract. And if we go to feather, by clicking F, we can feather these by 3. Or whatever matches your scene best. Alright, so now we just have a floating gun. So if we click V to get rid of the pen tool, we can find a spot where we like the gun. B. And then I'm going to grab the pick quick, go to the track null, drag it, and drop. And now it follows the motion of it with a few little bit. I'm also going to trim this to the end of the track null. So, alright. The next thing we got to do is actually put the hand in front of it, because you can see the gun is in front. We're going to duplicate the footage, bring it up top. And for this, I'm going to do it a little bit longer than just the track null, because this is when it turns into bubbles. So we're going to have the hand in front of it as well. So I like to go like a second or however long it takes for my hand to lower a little bit and the bubbles have rise. Go right around here. I'll turn that. And you can do this a number of ways. You can do a pen tool. You can go in the roto brush and get it, or you can do Mocha. But I'm going to skip over this part because it's a simple just mask and follow the movement of it. Alright, you can see that I rotoed on my hand a bit, and you can see it's in front of the gun now. So I have 2 layers because I had to track the hand separately, and then I cut out the thumb as well. But what we're going to do now is actually reposition the gun to where it matches. So just a little bit better. Alright, and after you got it tracked, positioned, and have the roto done, what we're going to do is actually duplicate the gun. We're going to go to like where we want it to actually turn into bubbles, so I'm going to do a couple frames before the actual gun disappears. So I'm going to click Shift 1 to put a marker. I'm going to unparent it to the track so it's just a still photo there. And then I'm going to increase this full comp size. Right click, recompose, move all attributes, and call this gun matte. Double click on that. Drop down a fill effect to it to fill it out. I'm going to click M on the keyboard because I don't want this mask inside. It just makes it harder for the simulation to work. I'm just going to get rid of that. Click F, get rid of the feather because the way this program or the way foam works is it likes harder edges. Well, it actually likes gradients, but this is kind of like a workaround to make this effect work. So if you click MM, you can also expand it. So we're going to expand it just a bit too. It has more room. And then we're going to click New, Solid, Black Solid, and then just drop that below it. Why is that? Go back to the comp. We can hide that. We don't need the matte. And now we're going to actually do the bubbles. So we're going to create a solid. Well, this one's small. Bubbles. Drop down foam. And for this, we're going to go to flow map. Change it to the gun matte. Can't see much right now, but if we change it from draft to draft flow map, you can see where the matte is. So I'm going to move this to inside the gun. The producer, change the Y a little bit, increase the X. Don't put this outside because then the bubbles will start spawning outside, but also don't put it too close to the edge. I'm just kind of like in the middle is that little sweet spot. Alright, for bubbles, I like to decrease the size to like 0.25 or so. Don't go over 3 for this one, because the bigger the bubbles are, the less there's going to be. So we're going to have 2 bubble layers, so I like to do one small one to take the shape of the gun, and then a big one underneath it to just kind of have variance to the bubbles. And I'm also going to change down the variance so there's not as many random shapes or sizes. Increase the growth because I don't like them taking that long to grow. And then for physics, what we're going to do is drop that down. We're going to turn the wind speed off for now. Also change the direction to 0. You can see that the bubbles, some of them are going out like this. The reason for that is because their steepness is only at 5. If we increase this to 100, it makes it hard for the bubbles to escape. But you can see as soon as they touch the edges, they pop. So what we're going to do is actually animate the steepness so that we have them all inside, and then when we want the bubbles to start to flow up, the steepness will go down so the bubbles can expand out. I also like to change the simulation quality to intense. I just find it works a little bit better. Right, from here, what we're going to do is increase the viscosity, and when you increase it, the bubbles stay closer to each other and they don't expand as much. So they stay more in the middle, and this creates the filling effect of the matte. Then turn down the wobble amount because that makes it less random, I guess. And turbulence, keep that the same. Alright, so the way this works is we're going to animate both the production rate, the wind, and the steepness. But the marker here is when we want the bubbles to be at its final shape. So we're going to go a couple frames forwards, go to production rate, and type in quite higher numbers, so 6 for now. Drop a keyframe, go a frame forward by clicking page down, and change it to 0. The reason I'm doing it before that is because it actually takes a little bit of frames for it to actually delay and stop spawning. So we're hoping by the marker, this is stop spawning, and it's just the bubbles inside. Alright, that looks good for now. And then we're going to click the actual steepness as well. So if you click steepness, drop a keyframe, and then go a couple frames forward, change that to 0. You click U. Oops. Click U on the keyboard, you can see where all the keyframes are. I don't know why it's... There we go. So it's just that. And I'm going to move that over. Also, easies by clicking F9 on your keyboard. So it's a little bit less random. So now you can see that the bubbles have left and are just kind of jitter around. The reason they're not doing anything is because we don't have wind. So I like to do the same span of where the keyframes are for the steepness. Go to wind. The direction's 0, so it's pointing up. Go to wind speed at 0, and then go to the same keyframe and change this to say like 1 for now. Click U again. We can go. So there we go. We have it spawning. They stop spawning, and then by that time the bubbles start to flow out. Alright. We can also trim this to when we actually want it to come in. So we want it to come here. As you can actually see by frame 1, there is still a lot of bubbles and they are still spawning. So I'm going to move these over so that by when it hits this, they're not spawning. Alright, that looks a little bit better. I'm going to change this to flow map to render. Go to render, go to environment map, go to footage, increase the strength and the thing to 1%. Change it from transparent to solid new on top. And see what we got. Alright, you can see that the bubbles are just kind of taking the shape. They're not over here. So what we can fix that is you can move this. Just kind of fine. So it is kind of the shape of the gun. Using the mat for this flow map isn't technically the correct way of using the flow map. It's like what I said, where it's kind of like a workaround. So it's obviously not going to be perfect. But after you find like a kind of sweet spot where you get the bubbles kind of in the shape of the gun and they spawn up like that, that's good. We're going to duplicate this. It just went to large bubbles. Put it below it. I'm going to go to bubbles and then increase the size just a bit. Now you can see there's bigger bubbles in it now. So if we turn this one off, it just adds more variation so it doesn't look like just the small bubbles. Alright. So this is taking more of the shape of the gun. You can also play around with the seed and move it around to get the bubbles. Another thing I like to do with the large bubbles too is because there's only a few of them in here. So if you click U, get your keyframes, you can go to the production rate and change this to say like 10 instead of 6. And then you'll have more bigger bubbles here. And if you want, what you could do is if you want the bubbles to pop when they're going up, so if you go to the small bubbles, you can go to the bubbles and the lifespan, say it to like 60. Will start to pop where they actually reach the top. So you can do that with both if you like, if you want to have the bubbles popping, so I'm going to change this one to 75. So on their way up, they'll all pop. Alright, and then we're just going to add color correction. So I like to just do the tint method. Tinted, say, is 75. Add a fast blur. Change it to 1 so the bubbles aren't as sharp. Then add real smart motion blur. If you don't have this, another workaround you could do is direction blur. You just have it pointed up and then have blur increase to a bit too high. It's taking the motion of going up, but I'm just going to use real smart motion blur. It's a little bit easier. And copy those. Control C, Control V to the bottom ones. And now you can see the bubbles spawn. They spawn and then go away. You could also see that the gun is still behind it. So what we're going to do, go to the gun, click T on the opacity. And at the end, go to 0 so it fades out. This is not the ideal way of doing it, but it's happening so fast you don't really notice it. And another thing you can do, which is preference, is you can add the bulge to make the gun kind of fill out. So if you increase the radius 8. So I just went a couple frames before, change this. Change the height to 0, taper radius, keyframe it. Oh, not taper radius, bulge height. Then go to the end, change it to 1. Now you can see that gun just kind of builds, looks like it's blowing up, and then it changes to bubbles. Alright, and with a little bit of tweaking, like I tweaked the gun's opacity to fade a little bit quicker than how I had it before, and just changing the production rate and the size and everything, you can actually get the effect to take the form of the gun and work quite nicely. And it's quite cool actually. It's a powerful effect that not many people know of. And a guy actually contacted me, Brian Manfit, and he's the actual creator of it, so he shout out to him for actually helping me with this and showing me kind of little workarounds to help with this. But yeah, this is pretty much the effect, and hope you guys enjoyed watching. And, subscribe if you want to see some more tutorials, and have a good day. Bye.